All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our recording about the ISTQB Certified Tester Foundation Level 2018 syllabus. Today, I'm James Pennefather, Director of Training here at Planit, and today I'm joined with Judy McKay, who's our resident expert in everything ISTQB, joining us from Christchurch in New Zealand. Hi, Judy.
Hey, James.
It's really nice to have you here. I'm very excited to give everyone the updates on the new syllabus. So what we're going to cover today is we're going to talk about a number of things that people have actually had on their mind and questions we've been received. And as my phone a friend and resident expert, I'll flip to you on questions and answers about what's happening. But there's 6 principal slides coming along. Firstly, the key dates about when the new syllabus was introduced and the sunset periods on the old ones. Some of the what's new in the new syllabus, because I know there's a lot of changes and a number of new pages. Glossary changes, which are really important. I know that's important to you, Judy. Important information, which is, again, does things still apply? Does, what LOs have changed? How do I place if I've already got my CTFL certificate? Certain resources that are available, such as mock exams, where to find them, and of course, most importantly to just about everyone, is the exams and what's changed to those. All right, let's talk about some of the key dates. Judy, I'm going to hand you over to this because I know it started in early June, but you've got all the information on the key dates, so I'm going to hand this over to you, the slide.
Okay, thanks, James. So on the 4th of June, 2018, the ISTQB released the new test foundation syllabus. Now it's called the 2018 syllabus in some places. In some places it's called the new foundation syllabus. So either way, it's the new one. Now the way this works is when a new syllabus is introduced, the old one doesn't immediately expire. So for English-speaking countries, the old syllabus will still be valid until a year later, which would be the 3rd of June, 2019. So that means that you could still go ahead and take a certification exam on the old syllabus until that time. Now, if you're in another country where English is not the primary language, there's an extra 6 months added just because it takes time to translate everything. So in that case, your old 2011 foundation exams would still be valid until the 3rd of December, 2019. Now, the reason this is done is so that a lot of people are studying all along, and we don't want to take it out from under them and say, hey, nice that you were studying that old syllabus, but you're out of luck. So that's why we keep both of these exams running concurrently for an entire year to make sure that everybody has time to switch over, training providers have time to make new courses, and everybody's studying for the exam that they want to take.
Great. So just so I can make sure that's clear, so if I was a student and I'd been studying to get through the previous syllabus and I hadn't taken my exam yet, I'm not going to be disadvantaged by this in any way, am I?
That's right. And it's important to remember that when you sign up for the exam, sign up for the right one. So you'll find that both exams are posted. Just make sure that you're signing up for the 2011 if that's the one you're intending to take.
All right, this is the most important one I like, and one of my favorite slides is what's new. I know I can see in big bright letters there, agilization. Can you take us through some of the changes to it, please, Judy?
So one of the goals of the 2018 syllabus was to modernize it and make it more current with what is really happening out there in the testing environment. And this got to be tossed around as agilization. And what that means was to bring a lot more of the Agile framework and how that applies to the various topics in the foundation syllabus. So to kind of modernize it a bit. Now, as a result of this, there's been changes in and out of the different sections, but overall the syllabus has grown by about 20 pages. And a lot of this is text around Agile or how Agile applies. So good to know. It's great stuff. You need to understand it if you're ever going to work in an Agile environment. Just keep in mind that the exams are based off what are called the learning objectives. And that's what it's abbreviated here as LO. So if there's no learning objective specifically about Agile, then that means that that part of it won't be covered on the exam. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're reviewing it. So there's a fair amount of text that's been added, but unless there's actually a learning objective associated with it, not probably something that's going to be covered on the exam. Now, be careful though, because there's a lot of talk about life cycles in general. And as soon as there's talk about life cycles, then Agile, of course, is one of the life cycles. So it could come in there to play. Now, the detailed changes, in case you're really into this stuff, in chapter 2, which talks about the life cycles, okay, first of all, the chapters themselves have not changed. They're still the same chapter headings, still in the same order. In the life cycles, there's been text added about Agile, but as I mentioned, there's no new learning objectives added. In chapter 3, which talks about static testing, there's been more emphasis put on the reviews, which is, when we sit down and do code reviews or requirements reviews or whatever. But the steps of a review, the steps of a formal review have actually changed. Their names have changed. And static analysis with tools section has been completely removed. So as you can see, if you were studying for the 2011 foundation syllabus, the steps would have one set of names. If you're at the 2018 syllabus, it's a different set of names. So that's why you want to make sure that you've got the right syllabus that you're studying with and you match the right exam with it. Now, chapter 4 has always been the big chapter, and that's about the testing techniques. Probably, I think, in my opinion, the most important chapter in the entire syllabus, because this is where you get the nitty-gritty of how to actually apply this stuff. So one great change is that there used to be a generic learning objective, which basically said, hey, you should be able to apply these different test techniques. Well, that's now been split out into specific learning objectives. So there's one for equivalence partitioning, there's one for boundary value analysis, there's one for decision tables, and there's one for state transition testing. Now, the difference is that way it's a lot clearer that you will have, these are what are called K3 level, which means that you have to be able to apply that technique. So you'll be given a scenario and you'll need to apply equivalence partitioning to that scenario. So I think that's a lot clearer, the way the learning objectives are set up. And also, to much rejoicing in the testing community, at least in the non-technical testing community, the structure-based or the white box testing has been reduced to K2, which means basically that you need to be able to give examples of, you need to understand it, but you don't have to actually apply it. Now, what that means is you're not going to be given a set of code and say, hey, how many tests would you need to get decision coverage or statement coverage? So I think that was probably caused the most anxiety of any of the sections of the foundation syllabus, and that has now been significantly reduced and is now only K2 level. Chapter 5, test management. 7 of the learning objectives have been removed, so it has been dramatically decreased in coverage of learning objectives. It's been increased in pages, but decreased in coverage for the exam. And one big terminology change, incident management, is now the much more widely accepted term, defect management. So we don't have to be so proper about calling it incident management. Chapter 6, the tools chapter, not really much in the way of changes in that chapter. So that's kind of the overall of the changes. You will definitely see that there's a lot more text in there. You'll see that there's been this slight shading of emphasis is a little bit different, but it's more the terminology things and the agilization that really have been the major changes in the syllabus.
All right. Okay. Well, that's. I usually have lots of questions, but I think you've covered that. And I'm fascinated by the fact there's almost 20 extra pages, but they've massively decreased the number of LOs being examined, which is always helpful. Okay, glossary of changes. There is a huge number of changes to the glossary contained with it, and this is really important to actually look at the glossary itself, where you can download from the ISTQB.org/reports area, and then look at the syllabus and select Foundation 2018. But can you actually run us through this, some of the changes that you've noticed, Judy?
So this was actually a period of substantial change. And a lot of this were changes that have been kind of accumulating over time, and they were all released together with the foundation syllabus. But you will find 178 definitions were changed, and some of them were changed significantly. So what you used to know and love as a term might not actually be the same thing anymore. Now, in a lot of cases, it was cleaning up a definition. or realigning it with the industry standards. A lot of the ISO standards were included, but there were some changes to wording and terminology that actually are impactful on the exams. So be sure you study the glossary for the 2018 foundation. Now, the glossary application, and this is the link to it right there, the glossary application actually is quite clever, and it will allow you to pull the glossary terms for a particular syllabus. So if you say, you know what, I just want to do 2011, I don't want to be worrying about these new terms, then all you have to do is go to that all terms in syllabus under the report section, and then select Foundation 2011, and you'll get all the terms for the 2011 foundation. If you select for 2018 foundation, you'll get all the new terms. So these terms coexist in the glossary, but you're able to pull them for a specific syllabus. Now, one word of warning there. If you think, you know what, I am kind of a glutton for punishment, I'd like to have the all terms report, that will give you the latest version of all the terms. So that will by default give you the terms as they're used in the Foundation 2018 syllabus. So keep that in mind. And honestly, if you're studying for an exam, it's a heck of a lot better to just run this report and get the terms that are specific to the syllabus you're after. Otherwise, you have to deal with expert terms and all kinds of specialist terms and things that you're not even interested in. So that's why the report's there. It's interactive. You can pull it at any time. Highly recommend using that. Couple example changes just to kind of give you a flavor. So in reviews, moderator was the term that was used in the 2011 syllabus as the person who kind of runs the review, a formal review that is, runs the review, make sure everybody has a chance to talk, all that kind of stuff. That term has been changed to facilitator. And use case paths, where you'd have the main path and you have alternate paths, those are now called behaviors. So you can see how these might actually nuance a question, an exam question, by changing that term a bit. So really important that you study the glossary. Now, if you say, you know what, I've been in testing for 10 years, I know all testing terms ever, that may be, but what happens is you may know the terms as they use them in your organization, which may not be the same as they're used by the ISTQB in a syllabus. So even if you've been in testing for a long time, it's really worthwhile to go ahead and read the glossary report for your specific syllabus.
All right, that's awesome. Thanks, Judy. And that is really important. And that's a question that we get all the time, is that just because your organization uses terms, certain terms, it might not be what's defined by the ISTQB. And nobody's perfect, but this is the structure of what we've actually examined it on. So that's actually a really useful area for people to go and look up and make sure they actually have all their terms exactly the way it's meant to be according to the yellows and everything else. All right, let's move on to the important information slide. This is actually one that's always very popular with people, understanding when the exams are available, when mock exams are available, courses are available. Can you run us through some of these ones, please?
Sure. So the new exams are available now. The ANZTB has released their new exams, and sample exams are being prepared as we speak, pretty much. Should be a good set of them available by the end of August. There are the ISTQB. There is one ISTQB sample exam that's available now also. New courses. So a course has to be accredited, which means it has to be reviewed to make sure that it actually covers everything in the syllabus. It has adequate exercises, all those kinds of things. So accreditation takes a bit of time. Courses should be available sometime in September or late August. So expect to see the new courses coming online very, very quickly here. The old exam. So as I mentioned before, you can take the old exam up until June of 2019. So no problem with that at all. The old exams are available. You just make sure you sign up for the right one. That's my only big caution there. And certifications are lifelong. So if you have a foundation certification, it's good. You don't have to get a new one. And since the foundation certification is often required for advanced courses or specialist courses, you might be thinking, oh no, do I have to get the new foundation certification if I want to take advanced? No, if you've got the foundation certification, even if it's an old one, it's still valid as a prerequisite for any of the advanced or specialist courses. So you don't have to worry about retaking the foundation. Not a bad idea if you want to see what's changed, or certainly read through the new syllabus. But your old certification is valid and will be valid.
All right, let's get on to the resources slide. This has actually got some great stuff, which just talks about the syllabus, learning objectives, release notes, and glossary terms, which I know we've covered off already with Judy on most of these questions, but I'll just throw it over to Judy just so she can discuss any of the other little points that we've missed.
So all of the information is available off the ISTQB website, which is www.istqb.org, and is also available on the ANZTB website as well, if you want something closer to home. So these are all publicly available pieces of information. The syllabus itself, there is a breakout of just the learning objectives, which it's meaningful for people who are making exams. It's not really that helpful for people who are studying. The learning objectives are included within the syllabus itself. They're at the beginning of each chapter. The third bullet item there is basically the things that have been removed from that were in 2011 and are not in 2018. Again, unless you've already studied for one and want to take the later one, probably not all that interesting to you. But again, it's there if you want to look at it. And then the glossary of terms, as I recommended, go to the interactive application and pull the report. That way you're sure you always get the absolutely most current one. We do put PDF copies on the ISTQB website, but it's never going to be as current as if you just ask for the report currently. And that will always give you the absolute up-to-date terms.
All right, welcome to slide 8. This is the important one. This is all about the exams and the structure and the fact that we've got sample exams, which is always important. Judy, do you want to just quickly go through some of this? Although if anywhere you need, I can help with this one because this is something I know a lot about. But off you go.
So the exams are the same as they were before. It's 40 questions, multiple choice. Each question is worth 1 point. And you need a score of 65% or better, which for those of you that are worried about it, 26 questions, that's the magic number you need to get. That's what you need to pass. So actually no changes there at all. The changes are actually in the learning objectives themselves and the coverage that it gets within the syllabus. But as I discussed, you can get that information from reading the syllabus. Sample exams. So there is an ISTQB sample exam that's posted on the ISTQB website. And then the different member boards may also be creating their own sample exams as well. So the reason people do that is sometimes a sample exam written by a member board is actually more accurate to what their real exam is than the ISTQB sample. So the ISTQB sample exams are written by a conglomerate of people from a bunch of different boards. Whereas if you get an ANZTB sample exam, that's going to be written by the ANZTB and should be much more reflective of their actual exams as well. Give you an idea of length of questions, severity of questions, things like that. So if you can find a sample exam from the board where you're going to take the exam, like the ANZTB, that will actually probably be a better study aid. But in general, you know what? The more sample exams, the better. So if you can find them out there, great, use them. It's a great way to study.
All right, that brings us up to the end of the quick update today with myself and Judy. I think we've covered an awful lot of ground, which is fantastic and really useful information for anyone that's actually thinking of taking the new certified foundation level tester certification from the ISTQB. Most importantly, we've covered the exams, the updates, where to find the information, and the fact that the exams are available now via the ANZTB, and that covering a lot of people's concerns about the differences in if the exam has changed in any way, or if they've already been studying for the old exam, they're still able to take it for the next 12 months until June 2019. But I think we have covered a lot of ground today, Judy. Is there anything else you want to add in saying goodbye?
No, I think that about covers it. Appreciate the opportunity to share the information. I know there's a lot of confusion out there and concern out there of what the changes really are. So hopefully this has really helped to clarify everything.
All right. And basically in signing off, as from Planit, I know we're actually introducing the new training courses along with the exams early in September, I believe. and just as soon as we get through accreditation. But most importantly, we're here to help you. If you need if you have any questions or need any help at all, please let us help you at Planit. We look forward to seeing you in the future. All right. Well, thanks so much again, Judy. Bye for now.
Thank you.